Hello, my name is Davina and welcome back to my channel. I really want to cover concert bonus and harmony bonus with you, but I feel like we need to talk about Vizier selection first. So today I'm not going to tell you which particular Viziers to choose when you're deciding on who to develop. What I'll do is tell you what you need to consider when you're choosing who to work on. The first thing to consider is as you play, you'll be accumulating more Viziers, and a lot of Viziers that come later on are actually better than what you'll get in the first few months. Therefore, you don't need to work on powering up all of your Viziers from the get-go. So in that light, I'd recommend that you select about 3 Viziers to work on at a time. And this is what works for me because I'm not a big spender, but it's not the only way. So listen to the other points that we consider before deciding how you want to manage your Viziers. The second thing to consider is that you need 16 military Viziers for Union War. Also War of Supremacy, and there are many other events that require military power. But at the same time, to have a successful empire, you should also get gold, grain, and soldiers. Now, even if you're a big spender, you can afford to purchase a lot of resources, but it's not practical to grow 16 Viziers at the same time. And also grow more resources for non-military aspects. So, on the same light, it's also not practical to focus on only one Vizier for all of your resources. You have to find a balance, or you'll put yourself in a box that will limit your growth possibilities. So that brings us to Viziers with multiple affinities. There are many of them, and I'll be using specific Viziers to explain how that works, but in no way am I suggesting that these featured ones are the ones you need to use. They're just examples. So, Asaf is both a military and a research Vizier, and he's earned in the mini games, so you don't have to pay for him. But when you develop him, he grows not just power for your battles, but also gold to help you pay for certain things in game, like leveling up your Viziers, extra energy in war, and dispatching heroes. So if you combine efforts when you're growing your attributes, it will help you to gain more talent in your focus Viziers. And that will help you in other areas of the game like Arena, where the number of talent in your Viziers is important, and Training Ground. So that's where you need talent and attributes in your top 10 Viziers. Some more examples of combining efforts are Hersk, who you can gain via in-app purchases, or if you complete the daily quest, you'll gain VIP bonus, and at VIP level 1, you get him. Hersk is a military and a prestige Vizier. So if you develop Hersk, he will allow you to develop both military and you will gain soldiers. The next Vizier to look at is Yavuz. He's an outstanding 4 and he's earned by collecting shards during rushes. Yavuz is free, but he takes some time to earn. He's a military and political Vizier, so not only does he help you in war, but he also gets grain for you. So now that we know that there are ways to grow our resources without spreading them out too thinly, let's look at talent stars. The more talent stars that a Vizier has means the more attributes he's able to accumulate. So when you get a new Vizier, take note of how many talents he comes with. The greater number of talents he has when you receive him, the stronger he can make your empire if you invest in him. So There is a limit as to how many times you can level up a vizier's talent, and once you reach that limit, you have to level up that actual vizier to raise the threshold. Now, if you invest in clothing and leveling up too many viziers at the same time, clothing wise, you'll get stuck and you'll not be able to move forward. Because you need the clothing for the one that you're working on, and the other viziers that you're now working on will already be clothed. So that's also something to consider. And that is really hard not to level up the clothing of your vizier because it's like instant gratification. You hit level up and you see an immediate increase in power. And in that moment, it feels so good to see your growth. But later on, when you don't have clothing and you want to work on a vizier, it's the opposite feeling. So, why do we want more resources than just military power if it's a war game? Well, we don't just gain prizes from war, we also have Soldiers Rush and Gold Rush. And those players that have harvested those two particular attributes will be the most consistent winners. Also, grain is equally important because without grain, you cannot levy soldiers and you won't have great health in Union War or War of Supremacy. Now, the last two things to consider when choosing viziers is that the main vizier you have today may not be your main vizier tomorrow, and that is okay. You need 16 of them for war, so it will most likely still end up in your war lineup anyway. And all of your viziers have a certain amount of each type of attributes. So even if a vizier is a military vizier, you will still get a certain amount of the other three types of attributes. My opinion is that it's easier to harvest the other attributes inside your focused military viziers than it is to harvest military power from a non-military vizier. Now that you have all the points to consider, I hope they help you make wise choices and grow a strong empire. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.